This is Lippin Putts Podcast here in the Better Rate Mortgage Studio, presented by Woodward Sports. I think it's one of the best weeks of the year, Sam. The Open at St. Andrews. I don't think it really gets much better than that when it comes to talking about old school type golf.
Well, yeah, it's links golf on the ground. It's our lucky number 7 episode as well.
Ooh, yeah.
So just a full jam-packed week heading into the oldest golf course, basically the home of golf, where it's all been meant to be played, everything like that. I can't be more excited for the Open Championship. My second favorite tournament of the year, behind, of course, the Masters.
Yeah, I had to make sure that we really focused on saying the Open this week, because I think in a few previous episodes we said the British Open, and I think a few people have called us out for that. So
yeah, which
really going to make sure we're going to say the Open this week.
I'd like to just get this out there. The reason we do both, not every listener here is someone with a stick up their ass and cares exactly about how you say it. For the record, I think we both know it's called the Open, but some other people might not. And so we're just making sure everyone's aware of what it is. So we use both names.
Well, even like Brandel and those guys on TV were calling it like the British Open at times too. Like it's kind of, you get stuck in your ways a little bit.
It's interchangeable, and part of it is just more so like not the everyday golf fan obviously knows what it is, but the person who maybe tunes in for just the majors doesn't. And so, again, we're just trying to amass everyone here. We're trying to appease everyone.
Yeah, agreed. I agree with that. And then the same thing, like if you told someone like, hey, the DP World Tour, they like, I have no idea what that is.
The Dude Perfect.
What is the European Tour? I know what that is.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Either way, sidebar early on, just like that. But no, Open Championship this week. Tigers playing. It's at St. Andrews, 150th one, ton of history.
Yeah.
Course is in a really good spot. Wish the weather was going to be a little more dicey, but still going to be great. Going to be a ton of fun at a tournament where, a lot of times I think we can have a pretty good idea what's going to happen going into it. This one we really don't. And in a nutshell, that's fun. That's fun where you're basically throwing shit at a dartboard, hoping it stick from what you're making picks, what you're expecting to see. I think that makes for a lot of fun, but I think we need to obviously talk about last week in golf before we get to the exciting stuff.
Yeah, we had a lot of golf going on last weekend. We had the Scottish Open that took place at the Renaissance Club, or the Ray-Nonsense.
Ray-Nonsense. Did people say that?
They were saying it multiple different ways on.
I heard what is it? Now I'm screwed up. Now I'm going to say Renaissance. And
it kept messing me up. I was like, just say it's the Renaissance Club. But they were calling it the Renaissance.
I thought it was Now you fucked me up.
Yeah,
I had it saying it a different way.
They messed me up all weekend.
Renaissance. God damn it.
Renaissance. It's
Renaissance Club.
Yes.
That was it.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. There was 5 different ways you could possibly spin this thing.
Okay. Either way, yeah. But a Tom Doak design.
Yep. Michigan man.
But you were able to watch a ton of it. Obviously, I was able to watch a little bit during Thursday, Friday. Xander Schauffele wins. Yep. Second straight event. Second straight start for him.
Yeah.
He's now won. We were talking about, hey, what's going on? He hasn't won in 3 years.
It was his COVID layoff is what I was going to equate that to.
And honestly, 3rd win of the year.
Yeah.
One was with Cantley in the team event.
Still.
But then he won the Travelers Championship because Spieth, who fucks, doubled the last hole.
Yep.
And then he goes and just wins this one. I mean, he birdied the 17th hole. Obviously, bogeyed 18 to win by 1, but that was kind of like a...
Everyone's bogeying 18. It was that was
a don't make a double.
Yeah, so that hole was playing outside of a major. That 18th hole at the Scottish Open was playing the hardest hole in a tournament history in 12 or 15 years or something.
Really?
Outside of a major. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think one person birdied it on Sunday.
Okay.
There's a few people that had opportunities. I think KH Lee was in the hunt, or no, I don't know if it was KH Lee, but someone was close to the lead going in. It was bogey-free round.
Was it Kitayama?
No, it wasn't Kitayama. It was the other. It was a young.
I'll pull up the leaderboard here real quick.
The young Asian player. He's 20 years old.
Ju Young Kim.
Yep, it was him, and he was bogey-free in his going into 18, and he 3-putted to finish one back of Kitayama, and it was kind of a brutal finish for him.
Mm-hmm. But still, I mean, what an event. Obviously, you go into the week, 14 of the top 15 players in the world, the best event they've ever had from a strength of field perspective. We talked about it on last week's pod. I think we had low expectations for some of the top players because it was almost I guess in my mind, I don't want to speak for you, but in my mind, it was a kind of tune-up for this week.
Yep.
And we thought maybe 1 or 2 would hit, but 7 of those top 14 of top 15 were playing, and 7 of those 14 missed the cut.
Yeah. I think Justin Thomas shot like plus 10 in 2 days.
Yeah, he kind of imploded. Scotty Scheffler missed the cut. It'll be interesting to see how the guys who maybe missed the cut and got to St. Andrews a little earlier do compared to the guys who did. But either way, we don't want to bear the lead. Xander Schauffele with a big victory. I don't want to sit here and say it's his biggest win of his career, but I think from a strength of field perspective, it's the biggest win of his career. Like, obviously winning the gold medal was a big deal. He won the Tour Championship. That's only a 30-man field. Like, from a strength of field, beating the other 150-something guys, like, biggest win in his career. And are we starting to see a guy who could be going on what was like a Scotty Scheffler run or what? Obviously you see these top players all of a sudden pick up on a little run real quick and knock off a few wins. Like, do we think this is something that could be the case for him?
I think so. I mean, you've seen it with golf time and time again. You just need to get some confidence, and he's got all the confidence in the world now. I mean, back-to-back weekends, you're walking home with a trophy. Like, especially you just played a link-style type golf course. You're coming in another link-style golf course this week, a course that's much easier than the one you played last week. Granted, I know you all have the history. It's a major championship. There's a lot behind it, but Xander Schauffele's setting himself up nicely to walk into his first ever major. And this is kind of a guy I think a lot of people expect to have. Like, he's like, at one point in time, he was considered one of the better ball strikers on tour when he first like entered the PGA Tour. So it's crazy to think about, especially when you look back. I think he won a couple times in 2019 as well too, that, he hasn't gotten that big signature win yet. So I would not be surprised one bit if you see his name flirting with the victory there on Sunday at St. Andrews.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he comes in, obviously, I think, second highest odds, or lowest odds, I guess, behind Rory Mcilroy. Yep. I think him and Scotty are second best. But, like, if we talk about a guy who he's been consistent for his entire career, from a standpoint of just he came on the scene and he's just been there. He's never been a guy who's, like, winning a ton. I think, he's obviously got seven worldwide wins now, which is a lot. I mean, that's a, I don't want to like bury that. I mean, he's got 3 recently, but like he hasn't won a major yet. He's been very competitive, especially in like U.S. Opens. But we want to see him get you want to see him get a win here at some point. And that's a big event to at least give him some momentum to that point. I mean, it had been, like we said, 3 years until he'd won a PGA Tour event, for a guy with as much talent as he has. But if you just look at his over the course of like the season, I'm trying to do something really quick on OWGR.com, but like he doesn't miss a lot of cuts. He's played in 167 events since 2015. He's only missed the cut 34 times. It's a pretty good rate. Now, like Tiger kind of throws those numbers up because everyone's like, well, they should make the cut 95% of the time. That's not.
Well, it's funny that you actually kind of bring those stats up. Is I was doing have you ever done Sporkle quizzes before?
Oh yeah.
So I was doing a bunch of golf wins over the weekend while I was just kind of killing time. I was actually doing it Friday night. And there's a thing, it goes back into like 1990, like the top 10 players in the world, like finishing. They do it like by country. So you're guessing these guys based on like where they're from. And Xander Schauffele for like the last 5 years has finished inside the top 10 of like the world golf rankings.
Yeah. And I'm looking right now. So 2021 finished at 6th, 2020 finished 8th, 2019 finished 9th, 2018 finished 10th, 2017 he was 25th. And so like he's obviously finished every season. That's just having a consistent longevity of basically success and consistent play.
Yeah. But as far as like the top players on tour, that's not a guy that like honestly in the last 3 years you haven't heard that name a lot.
No.
Like obviously like we have because like we live and breathe this golf stuff, but from an average viewer, like you probably don't know a lot about Xander Schauffele. By the way, I don't know if we're saying his last name right. I don't know if it's
Schauffele.
No, like he did a video after he won the Open. And it was a selfie. He's like, "Hey guys, this is Xander Schauffele." I swear he said Xander Schauffele. I'll see if I can't find the video and show it to you.
All
but
right.
That was another thing that threw me off this weekend after watching him bring home the video. He's like, "Hey guys, this is Xander Schauffele. Just won the Scottish Open. Like, thanks for the support. Blah blah blah." But I couldn't even tell you what he said because he said Xander Schauffele, and I just was like, everyone's been calling him Xander Schauffele for 10 years now.
Yeah. But so, I'm looking at this right now. This is by the most points he's ever earned on a OWGR basic, what we were talking about, strength of field, biggest win. Yeah, but no, he's had an interesting career. I forgot. Again, he won the Travelers. So he's got a lot of big wins.
He's won a WGC too, I believe.
Yeah,
right?
but like it's just for a guy who we feel like's been so good. I'm surprised at how his career's gone.
Well, it's crazy to be like that consistent without like winning a lot, I guess is the best way to kind of put it.
Yeah, exactly. But if you're looking at his major career record, 21 majors, He's made the cut 18 times. Missed the cut this year at the Masters. But in those, he's got 9 top 10s. I mean, it's just, again, he's going to win one of these at some point. The caveat, if you look at his Players' Championship profile, he's missed the cut in 2019, 2021, and 2022.
At the Players?
Which is odd. But
yeah,
that's just
maybe
random.
He just doesn't like the golf course.
It could be. But either way, I mean, a big win to him. I think you talked about it. I mean, clearly a big favorite going into this week, just based on kind of where he's been at, where his game's at. But the last 6 events, 6 top 20 finishes, 3 of which were obviously, I think, top 5 finishes. He finished 5th place at the Byron Nelson. Then he had 3 straight top 20s, and then obviously won the Bass 2. So coming in, obviously, one of the hottest golfers, and we've talked about a few guys who've picked up. Sam Burns was peaking at one point. Scotty Scheffler obviously had that run in. We talk about Scotty Scheffler like not being on a huge run anymore because he's like missed the Scottish Open, but like also him still like playing really high level golf. But when we talk about like really dominating, that's kind of where Xander's at this point.
Yeah, and a big thing that they kind of talked with Scotty too is I watched a lot of the Future Group coverage, and he was in it. Zalatoris was in the Future Group coverage, and they talked a lot with Scheffler, about. He's still not really he's still young. He's like you said, he's only 25. Like he still doesn't really know like links style. He doesn't play a lot of links golf. And actually an interesting fact is even on like the DP World Tour, they've said that those guys, they play like 3-4 links golf courses a year on the European Tour. So like even those guys don't get a lot of experience. So like it takes some years before you really feel comfortable out on like a St. Andrews or the Renaissance Club.
Yeah, so and that's where, like, I mean, you're right. They play, I think, the Alfred Dunhill, which is later in the year at St. Andrews, typically every season. Then you have the Open and the Scottish Open, and sometimes the Irish Open.
Yeah.
So it's something that I think we wish we could see more of, just as a speculation. But yeah, I think it's just continuously learning. Random question: do you know this off the top of your head? How many shots was Xander behind after the first round?
Xander Schauffele?
Yeah.
I'm gonna guess 7.
He was down by 11. So he shot 72. Tringale shot 61.
Oh, yeah.
Tringale shot 61 and backdoored into a top 10.
Well, that's why I thought it was like 7 because Tringale had like a 4 or 5 shot lead after round 1.
You knew he was not going to hang on. And then he started 2 under through 3. So he was 9 under. Then he started 2 under through 3 on Friday, so he was 11 under, and it was like, holy crap!
I thought he was gonna like just blow the doors off.
He's never won a PGA Tour event, he's got the most career earnings by a lot now.
Yeah. Same time too. I was kind of excited to see his name up there. It's a guy that you've always seen on leaderboards, but like again, never pulls it through. But I think his weekend, like what did he shoot on the weekend? I think he shot like 74, 75 or
he's 72, like 74, and then he shot 70 on Sunday. So
okay, so a little bit more respect. Did you see in the first round, since we're kind of talking about the first round a little bit, what happened with Will Zalatoris' ball on Scotty Scheffler's mark?
Yeah. I did. How that like rolls and gets stuck on top of the mark.
Yeah, I literally have the picture up on my phone right now. Like his ball, like it trickled past the hole and then went on the exact line of where Scheffler's ball mark was, and then popped up on it and sat there. And I've never seen anything like that in my entire life.
I don't know how you rule that. Like, do you just mark it like it's normal? Or?
Unfortunately, like I had to do something. I was watching it here while I was at work. And I had to go do something in between, like them waiting for the rules official. So I didn't see what the actual rule was. But my guess, I assume that he probably just marked it to the right or to the left of it. I would presume, but I don't. I'll have to go back and see what that ruling was.
Yeah, it was weird. But just to go down the leaderboard a little bit with some of the notable names: Patrick Cantley, a quiet 4th place finish. Yep. Tommy Fleetwood, 4th place finish. Fleetwood shot 67 on the weekend.
The leaderboard was really good going into the back nine on Sunday.
And if you want to talk, like we talk about 7 guys made the cut who were in the top 15, like Xander, Cantley, Fitzpatrick, 6th place finish, Cam Smith, T10, Jordan Spieth, T10.
So we got to talk about my pick.
Your guy Spieth.
Yeah, I picked Jordan coming into this week, and I was looking like a genius. As he was starting, I think 2 shots back. He birdied 13, and he was a shot or 2 back going into 14 on a par 3. And then doubled it. Like, I think he was only hitting a wedge, and he yanked it like a mile to the left. Had to yell 4, and then chunked something out on the green and didn't come anywhere close to the hole. His putt back up the hill went like 8 feet by the hole, and you missed that putt too. So it was just like, what the hell? And like, that is Jordan Spieth, like to you right now.
Well, and there's that one video where he's did you see the video with
Yeah.
Michael Greller? And just so everyone who's listening, if you haven't seen it, he's basically trying to deliberate what to hit on a shot, and it's basically a 100-yard par 3,
Yep. Mhm.
dead into the wind. And he's like, if I hit that, that's going to go 60 yards. Like, I don't feel comfortable. He's like, trust me, he does it. Hits, and he goes, that's going only 60 yards. That's
Yep.
lands like 4 feet from the hole. It's like, dude, I don't know. I'm getting, and I'm like a whiny golfer, like him, where like I'll do these things and it won't be that bad. But I'm getting to the point where it's like, shit, if that's how I sound, like, fuck, I got to like look myself in the mirror, because it's getting to the point where I'm like, you got to calm down.
To me,
but it's must-see TV.
I think it's so damn entertaining, and like, he said a line to Michael Greller, and I was literally like walking around on Thursday after it happened and saying that, like, oh no, it was when he hit a bad shot. He's like, oh, that's not a good shot there, Michael. Like, the way he talks to Michael Greller, you would think it's like an imaginary best friend or something like that.
That is kind of true.
Yeah, like that is the best way to explain it, I think.
Yeah, no, I that's a great way to put it. So, and then just going through, obviously they wrapped up the Open Championship qualifying series. 3 notable names: Kurt Kitayama. He's played in 16 events this year. He's missed the cut 10 times. He has 3 top 3 finishes, though. So in the 6 cuts he's made, he's finished in the top 3 times.
Looked pretty strong on Sunday.
Jamie Donaldson, who's like, talk about a has-been in the Ryder Cup.
There you go. That's a guy
finished
just for you.
in tied 6th. And then Brandon Wu. And so those guys get to qualify for the Open, which, again, like, I do like that, especially with the week leading up to it.
Yeah. You don't know if you're going to play or not.
Yeah, and like, you go out, it's something to play for, especially if it's a runaway or if you're a little further back. Like, I like that Open Championship qualifying series. And then obviously the other one from the Barbasol that we'll briefly touch on for like a hot sec. But
there was a lot of guys talking about that 18th hole again. There's a lot of guys. There was like 3 or 4 guys that were coming down the stretch that were in the Open had they just parred 18.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of these guys either 3-putted or didn't get up and down for a par, and just like, damn, like, you have to feel for these guys not being able, like, being so close to playing in, like, not just playing in the Open Championship at St. Andrews, but like the 150th Open at St. Andrews. Like, there's just historic to that, like, round number.
Mm-hmm. I'm looking at all these guys who finished 10th place and they didn't get in because Brandon Wu and Jamie Donaldson did. Rasmus Højgaard and Alex Smalley.
Yep.
They both bogeyed 18. Had they made pars on it, definitely would have gotten in over Jamie Down and Brandon Wu based on OWGR. So yeah, exactly what you said. These guys make pars, they're in. And it makes
Tough
for
scene.
interesting television to watch though. And then you obviously hope the broadcast helps kind of like highlight those things, which they did. So Maverick McNeely also, T16. I mean, he played really well on Sunday.
And real quick, why I know, like, we're not going to talk a lot of live golf on this episode, but to my point that I brought up last week about why I think the PGA Tour and the DP World Tour is because you have those scenarios like that. Like, even guys that like aren't you don't think are playing for anything. Like, that guy was playing for a chance to play in the 150, and a simple par would have gotten in, but he blew it. Like,
which is good. It's hard to do that week over week.
Right.
One thing.
Exactly. So like, that was kind of my reason, is like, live golf, you're never going to get that. Like, you're not going to have, unless obviously the official world golf rankings, and that's a different story for a different day. But I just did want to highlight that because like, events like this do have those storylines throughout the year.
Yeah. And speaking of live golf, the best live golf finisher, T24 Brandon Grace.
Yeah.
That might be the highest finish of any of the live golfers since it started in
I think so.
PGA Tour. I don't know how DJ did in the US Open. I don't remember.
Brooks and DJ, I believe, both made the cut at the US Open.
But Brooks finished in like 50th, something. He flamed out on the weekend.
Yeah, something like that. So,
but either way, it'll be interesting to see. Obviously, we got the live golfers there this week. Based on our picks, you took Spieth T10.
Yep.
He was obviously right there come Sunday. How Tung Lee is your sleeper, T55.
Yep.
My favorite, John Rahm, T55. So tied your sleeper.
Yep.
Awesome. And then I had Joaquin Niemann, T16. So they all made the cut.
Yeah.
Not that it's a win and you don't get paid out for making. Well, those guys get paid out for made cuts. We don't.
Yeah.
But not terrible. And obviously we'll have a lot of bets to talk about this week and everything. The other guy who qualified for the Open Championship, I don't know. I don't think either of us really watched a ton. But at the Barbasol Championship, Trey Mullinax wins. I basically saw the clip on Instagram. He made like a 15-foot birdie putt on the 72nd hole to win by 1. You could see kind of the emotion and like fist bump he had, which pretty sweet. I mean, when you get that raw emotion for a guy who like, I don't know. I don't know anything about his career other than I've known that name for probably like 8 years.
I think he's probably about 31, 32 if I'm not mistaken.
I don't want to call him a journeyman, especially after some of the shit I've gotten from like ripping on Omar Uresti, but he's different than that, I think.
He's a grinder. You would call him like a grinder on like the PGA Tour. He just never won on the PGA Tour. You make a huge birdie putt on the last hole and that's sending you to the US or the Open as well too. So like a lot of predicaments, but like, what was it, Friday into Saturday or Saturday into Sunday? I can't remember. The golf course got like 3 inches of rain.
Yeah,
and they had the grounds crew out there in buckets, like just getting all the bunkers clear and stuff like that. So it was like not the easiest situation if you were playing in the Barbasol this week.
Well, that's what I remember, like seeing a clip midweek, and it was guys literally bucketing shit out of the bunker. And then when he made that putt, I was like, doesn't look like it was wet. Like, was I watching something different? Was it not that? But
well, it's great. Like they didn't really have they had delays, but it wasn't anything like. But based on the amount of rain that they got, you would have thought it would have been like a Monday finish or something along those lines.
Exactly. So that's his biggest win. He's won twice on the Corn Ferry, Trey Mullinax, and then he had a runner up the Valero Texas Open 2018. But he's highest world golf ranking he's ever had at 164. No, excuse me. He's currently now 190. Sorry, that was his best ever was 164. So good shootout. Kudos to him. Again, we don't know a ton about the Barbasol, and there was a bigger event this week.
Well, I was watching. So full discretion, like I didn't watch a lot of the Barbasol because I was watching the Scottish Open. Yeah, I watched a lot of the Scottish Open, which I was kind of surprised by, especially how early. Actually, Thursday I got up. It was on. I got up early to go to the gym at like 5:30.
Yeah, put it on.
Threw it on. I was like, this is great.
So, and I think one thing I want to talk before we move on, obviously we talk about one other tournament this week, and then we'll get to the Open Championship. But this was kind of the first week of the co-sanctioned event where you have the PGA Tour and the Corn Ferry, the DP World Tour, having these co-sanctioned events where obviously the number one, you can earn points to both the Race to Dubai and FedEx Cup points, or FedEx Cup. But basically, the guys, if you want to play in the better event, that's going to be the Scottish Open. But guys can go play in the Barbasol on both tours. They can go do that, which is awesome. One, it incentivizes guys to go play in this links tournament because they're going to earn some sort of points and everything. But then some of the European Tour players can go and participate in the Barbasol during that. I think it was a very successful, granted, we didn't watch the Barbasol, which if you take it on that, why it's hard to consume that much golf.
Yeah.
But I think from a standpoint of this could be a mini aspect of where they're going to go in the future. And you're going to have the Corn Ferry as a feeder. But then they talked about the 10 cards coming from the European Tour. Like that's going to be a feeder soon. But I almost want to see more co-sanctioned events that allow it to blend into more of a world tour, but still give these other guys more starts, which we've talked about as well.
Yeah, I honestly do think we're gonna see that. Like Scottish Open was already the biggest field that you've seen in quite some time. I think you can line some stuff up too, where like even after the Open Championship this week, like you have another co-sanctioned event the following week for any guys that want to stay over and play maybe in another big field. This week, like to do maybe like a links type swing.
They should move the Irish Open to behind.
Yeah, I think that'd be very cool.
Yeah, and I think I don't know if everyone would play, but I think you could get a lot more people that way, and then truly make sure you're going to Irish Link Styles courses. But
and a guy that like is from Northern Ireland, like Rory Mcilroy, like you would think would play in the Irish Open, but
he didn't.
So
yeah, I don't know. That was surprising.
Yeah,
only Seamus Power and Shane Lowry did.
Shout out to those boys.
But then I guess the other tournament, which I'm actually a big fan of watching this. Had I had the time, I actually would have watched that more over than the Barbasol, was the American Century Championship at Edgewood in Tahoe.
Yeah.
The celebrity golf. I'm a big fan of this event.
It's cool.
I think there could be a standpoint where you have too many. I don't think we're even close because I would like to see more of these things. Like maybe a mini celebrity circuit. I don't know how you do that, especially with these guys have other things going on. But whether it's
live golf.
There you go. The celebrity team.
Yeah.
But you have like four events or something. And this is a really cool one. I've played that course. And so to anyone who's watched, the 17th hole is 17 and 18 are right on the lake. Literally where you're hitting it. Like if you hit one right of the green, you're on the beach. Where these guys are partying, they're shooting jump shots. You got like the fans who are partying on the beach. Like that's where I was hitting a bunker shot from on that hole one time. And so I think it's like really cool. And it's a fun golf course. It seems like an awesome event. Obviously, like, you have this wide range of talent who plays in it. But I think it's a ton of fun, and I'm like, I don't want to say I want more of this because like then it could be too much and you're getting like the match and all of these different things.
Yeah.
But I do think there's some fun aspect of it's kind of a party. It's kind of like a drinking golf outing, but there's an aspect of competitive nature to it.
Well, I think it's not like you're getting bad golf too. Like a lot of these former athletes are good players. Like Tony Romo took home the championship for the third time. And from that, like he's a guy that we've seen out on Corn Ferry events and trying to make cuts and maybe even eventually play professional golf from a really elite level. So like he's a good player. You've seen I'm drawing a blank on his name, Atlanta Braves pitcher Smoltz. John Smoltz,
yeah,
great
Mark
player.
Mulder, another former Cardinals pitcher.
Justin Verlander's been out there before, good player. So.
Joe Pavelski was a runner-up this week too, Roback guy.
Yeah,
no free ads.
It's a very, and then you mix in some of the former professional players that have come before too. Like you had
Annika Sorensen, wasn't it?
Yep, she was out there, and then who's the other girl I was thinking of? She was the captain of the women's Ryder Cup team.
I don't know.
I'm really gonna draw a blank on this one. But either way, like you get former professionals playing in it. You get top tier athletes that like you had no idea that were even that good. And then you get terrible golfers like Charles Barkley out there, and Pat McAfee was out there. And,
so it's a fun event. And it's a cool place. I mean, if you ever, not that it's like easy to get to and cost effective, but Tahoe's a fun place and it's a fun golf course. So I was bummed I wasn't able to tune in a ton this week to it, but
yeah, like looking at just some of the names that are on this list, like it is insane the amount of people they get to come out for this thing. Like Tony Romo, Mark Mulder, Joe Pavelski, Adam Thielen, Mike Modano, Livonia Boy, Derek Lowe, Aaron Rodgers, Marshall Falk, TJ Oshie, Jake Owen, Kyle Williams, Jack Wagner, Carson Palmer, John Smoltz, Steph Curry. Got to talk about Steph Curry for a second, because did you see a shot on 13?
No, I
hold out from like 98 yards.
Oh, you know what? I did see that. Yeah.
And then just went absolutely berserk. He's playing with his dad and his brother, and he just jars it from. I was like, you know how unfair that has to be that good at golf and that good at basketball?
He just gets buckets. It's just him finding a way to get a ball in a hole, whether it's the hoop or not. Like, he just knows what he's freaking doing. It's incredible.
That's where I want to show people too. Like, you can work your ass off, no matter what. And I say, work hard. You can work hard and do anything you want. But at the end of the day, you have to have some type of talent. And Steph Curry has just talent.
I know. I was going to say there's two ways you can take it. One, you can be like, oh, well, golf's really easy because a guy like Steph Curry can just quickly turn in and do this and be a dual sport athlete, basically. Or it's no. It's very difficult. He's just that gifted of a human being, of an athlete. So I agree with you on that standpoint.
Yeah. But, I mean, same guys you always see up top. Like I said, Romo won it for the third time. He's kind of essentially, I would almost consider a mini tour player out there.
Yeah.
Compared to everybody else. But Mulder, Pavelski, and those guys aren't scratches by any means. Mm-hmm. How do you feel about the Stableford points format of it?
Well, I think it's I think you have to do it because a Charles Barkley's going to make more than double bogey. So quickly just pick up, move on. I think it's cool. Mm-hmm. I like that aspect of it. I would say maybe the only challenging part is maybe people don't understand how scoring works. So when it's coming down, the announcers just have to do a really good job of explaining, hey, this is what a birdie does, this is what a par does. But other than that, I like it. I think it's a good format for that event. Yeah.
I mean, when I used to work at golf courses and stuff, it was always fun to run those events because you knew play would move. Because once you hit a double bogey, at least in the women's events I used to run, once you hit double bogey, you just pick up your ball and go to the next hole. You don't have to grind it out for a 9 or a 10.
Yeah.
But here's a little trivia question for you: who do you think finished dead last? If you had to guess anybody, what sport did they play? And 2, do you know who it was?
I saw the leaderboard and I was trying to think of his name earlier when we were talking about this, and I forgot. So I'm trying to think about it, and it was either football or basketball.
It was football. Former Heisman winner.
Robert Griffin III. That's who it was. I was I knew what it was, and I couldn't.
Minus 89 points.
Which is, that's bad.
Yeah, that's a lot of negative points. So essentially, if we're going to lay this out for you.
Double bogey's -2,
I think,
right?
Yeah, double bogey's -2. Bogey is -1. Par is probably, I don't know how they do. I actually was not paying that close attention to see how they did the points. I think typically bogey's 0 points, par is 1 point.
Usually each event kind of has their own, but there's there is a normal one. But I don't know if maybe it's -3, -1 for a bogey. It could be because like -89, if let's say you double bogey every single hole, that the worst you could do is -108 if it was -2. So I don't know, but I digress.
Oh, here you go. I have a scorecard. So 3 rounds, he shot 108 in round 3. He shot 99 in round 2, and shot 119 in round 1.
Hey, he's just happy to be out there.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be happy to be out there. You're just partying the whole time.
Exactly.
Oh, here you go. I got the points right here. Bogey was -1 point. Yep. Par was 0 points. Double bogey was -2 points.
Got it. Okay.
It's a tough scene for Robert Griffin III.
It's a lot of bogeys and doubles for him.
Yeah. Pain.
But I think it's time we proceed to talking about the final major, Glory's last shot for the year of 2022.
Yeah, I know.
The Open Championship at St. Andrews.
It's great, but it sucks at the same time.
And I think we have to start with talking about Tiger Woods.
You have to.
It's his first tournament since the PGA, where he withdrew after the 3rd round.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
I think so, yeah, because he did make the cut.
Yep. Didn't play in the U.S. Open.
Correct. Didn't play in the U.S. Open. Obviously was at the Masters. So I think there's a few different things to talk about. We want to talk about what our expectations, but he obviously had his presser today. We're not going to talk about any of the live stuff he said. We just think there's many things to talk about. But I think what you and I think a lot of people kind of went into it like, what are we going to expect from him? You know, is he going to retire? And I don't think anyone's expecting him to retire, but like this is his last go around at St. Andrews.
Correct. So not to cut you off too much, but I was going to come into this thing and I was fully expecting to make like I think he's a retiring type. Like I had a feeling
like this was his swan song.
Yeah, like it felt that way. The way that like the press was kind of making it sound a little bit too. Like like you can tell he's out there struggling on that leg. It hasn't been easy. But then he got asked the question today at press conference, like, is this the final go around for you? And he was retire. Like, no. Like he's made it very clear. Like, that he's going to be around for quite a few. He's not going to play a full schedule, but he's going to be around for years to come.
Yeah, well, yeah. He basically, to paraphrase his quote, he said, "No, I mean, by no means am I going to retire at the end of this event. I'm still going to pick and choose certain events I want to play in. But how I took it was I'd be remiss if this was maybe not going to be my last time playing St. Andrews at this high of a level of competitiveness."
Yeah.
And so, he's probably going to be able to go play it a few times, kind of like how those guys, Jack and Arnie, that, they basically, Tom Watson, their last round in the Open Championships at St. Andrews, they do the wave on the bridge. I'm sure that'll be Tiger at some point. But I think from his point of, this is probably my last time playing at St. Andrews where I legitimately think going into the week I have a chance to win.
Yeah. Which is crazy because like Tom Watson did the same thing, like never thought in a million years when he was playing his last.
At Turnberry?
Yeah. Like, was that at Turnberry? Or was that...
Turnberry is when he bogeyed the last hole to go into a playoff.
Oh, okay. I thought that was at.
But then he finished at St. Andrews.
Right. Yeah. He made the cut for.
Yeah.
But I think that's essentially like what Tiger's hoping to eventually do. But it was kind of refreshing at the same time too. Like, you had the rumors, people like, oh, he's going to hang it up. But, for me, I felt as if like, okay, like this guy kind of has the drive. Like this week seems different than all the other weeks leading up like that. We've seen him all year long. Mm-hmm. Like he's already played, I think today is Tuesday at 4:49 when we're recording this. He's played almost 100 holes since Saturday.
Really?
Yeah. Or since Friday or Saturday since he got there.
Let's see. What, are you talking about last Friday, including like the JP McManus?
No, I believe since Saturday, since he got to the Open.
Okay, because that's just that's 72 holes is a round a day for 4 days since Friday. So that just seems like a guy who's got like a half a leg.
I could have blown.
I'm
that
guessing
number.
It's from the JP McManus.
It could be with that, but like,
he played Ballybunion with Rory, which is like a sick course in Ireland.
But they might have been even including that as well too. Like he's played
sure.
he's played a lot of golf over the last 4 or 5 days now. So and he's walked every single time. Yeah. I think that's like the stat. I might have been thrown in the St. Andrews thing, but he has walked a decent amount since last Thursday or Friday,
which is good. I think my question that I have for you is kind of what's your expectation for him going into this week? I mean, is it to be competitive? Is it like, hey, we're happy if he makes the cut? Is it, no, the expectation is him to make the cut. I'm not expecting him to win, but I'd like to see him at least try to do something. Like, is it, hey, I just want him to finish the fucking tournament? Like,
for me, dude, I go back to that first round after the Masters. Like, I go back and he was in the top 10 on the leaderboard after round 1. So, like, it's there. But ultimately, it's been, the events that he has played in with the Masters and the U.S. or PGA Championship, he's finished kind of close to the bottom in short game as far as chipping and putting. So, and this is, everyone knows when you come to St. Andrews, that's what it kind of comes into. John Rahm said it himself, or a few of these guys said, it's going to turn into a chip off or a short game contest. And his short game needs to be top tier, but I feel like that's what he's been focusing a lot on the last month and a half now.
Yeah, I find it hard to think that he has a chance to win. Now, if there's ever a place that he could,
that's why
it's a link style golf course where distance is minimized based on especially how firm the course is right now. I mean, we talked about Bryson earlier, not earlier on the show, but you and I before the show. Do you like him? Do you not? And it's well, his ball is going to be going so fast all over the place that there's almost a lack of control, and that's where a guy like Tiger, who doesn't hit it as far and really understands his way to plot around a golf course like this, So I think he'll make the cut. I don't think he'll be competitive whatsoever.
See, I do. There's something I think golf has a special way of being magical. We've seen it before. We've seen it in the past. And with this being Tiger's favorite golf course, with this being the 150th Open, there just feels like there's a magical sense in the air. And again, he's got a little pep in his step this week. You've seen videos he played in the Champions Classic thing that they do on Mondays. And you saw him barking at Lee Trevino. He's just in a very upbeat mood that you didn't even see at the PGA Championship. PGA Championship, it was just he felt good to be there, and that was about it. This one, I really do think he's coming into this one as circled on his calendar that if there's going to be any tournament that I compete in for the next year or so, it's going to be that one at St. Andrews.
Yeah, and I do think you make a good point. You're right. When he went to the PGA, he was you could see by the look on his face, I'm going to war here and hoping to come out with where I finish.
And I don't see, I watched a lot of coverage over the last 24, 48 hours. I don't see it.
He's happy to be there.
He looks like he's relaxed. Fun. He's chirping, he was chirping JT, made the comment, said, "Hey JT, I'll see you at the Champions Dinner." Oh wait, that's right. You haven't won here yet. So it's just and that's the Tiger that you're you saw a little bit maybe at the Masters, but I think Masters, he might have been functioning on a bit more adrenaline. I really do think he took the last month and a half to get his body right to where St. Andrews isn't a hard golf course to walk by any means. So I really do think that guy is going to compete and have a chance on Sunday.
Yeah. So, I mean, now I think it's time, obviously, being that it's at St. Andrews, we were talking earlier, there's been a pretty good run of winners going back basically all the way back to when Jack had won his at the Open. When I think you had said it gone Jack.
Yep.
Then it was Seve.
Yep.
Nick Faldo.
In 90. Yep.
Then our boy John Daly looks phenomenal.
Yeah.
So, would love to see him somehow make the cut. Then you have which is when Tiger made his Open debut was in 95 when John Daly won. So obviously then you had Tiger in 2000. Yep. Tiger in 2005. Louis Oosthuizen, who kind of boat raced the field, but he had a pretty large win. Mm-hmm. And then Zach Johnson in a playoff. In 2015 in a playoff over Leishman, which is when Jordan Spieth just missed out on that by one when he had won the two majors. So this course, while I go into this week having really a really tough time pinpointing who do I expect to play well, it always brings out a lot of times the best players in the world. Now, like Zach Johnson, obviously being kind of an anomaly in that one, who had just a phenomenal week. I mean, he's a two-time major champion. Yeah, but I don't want to take that away from him. At
that time, that was Zach Johnson was kind of playing at the peak. It was kind of surprising because I think he won the Masters in what was that 2010, if I'm not mistaken. But even for a good stretch there, Zach Johnson was
won in 07.
Oh, okay. So a little bit before that, but for a good 10 years, Zach Johnson played was a top 10 player in the world. So it wasn't that was a fluke by any means. I think that's kind of where my point is with Tiger. It brings out, there's a mystique at St. Andrews. Everybody who plays golf ever, I feel like if you could pick one event outside of the Masters to win, you're going to want to win the Open at St. Andrews. That's just, it's given. Anyone that tells you different, I'd be shocked to hear.
Yeah, no, that's that's the best place you want to go. And I think we talked briefly about on the last one, you'd love to see the Open here every year.
Yeah.
Where I'm completely on the other side of it. But it's a magical place. And I think it's like, obviously, like my parents are there right now. They're watching some of the practice rounds. It's hard for like fans to go there and watch, which it's the case with a lot of these links courses. Yeah. But like, my favorite thing about it is like, there's a lot of favorite things, but like 1 and 18, and you have that airport runway.
Yeah.
Basically that is the fairway, and it's just the flattest thing of land right into the city. You can hit shots, not on purpose, but hypothetically off the hotel that can bounce back and play.
Remember, Phil had his ball stuck up on the balcony there one year.
Yeah, like it's just an awesome scene, and I'm sure like being there this week, obviously there's a shit ton of fans. I think they were expecting record crowds, but like just being there with all of that environment, like, man, that'd be a lot of fun to go to.
That's like, I'm almost like kicking myself. Like I didn't plan, like, obviously COVID was a thing. Like they didn't even have this event 2 years ago because of COVID. So, I'm almost kicking myself. Like I didn't take that. Like how cool would it be to be able to say like you're playing, like you're going to watch the 150th Open at St. Andrews, like especially when it's like even Tiger talking about it's like his last kind of real shot to win here. But he has the opportunity to be a 3-time champion. He'd be a 4-time champion of the Open, but he'd be a 3-time at St. Andrews, which would be just insane to think about.
Yeah.
Especially in modern day.
I failed to mention Louis Oosthuizen was also in the playoff with Zach Johnson and American Leishman. Mm-hmm. I totally forgot about that.
He made a huge birdie putt on the...
Yeah, he actually... What?
Or eagle putt, wasn't it?
He birdied 18 to get in. He
birdied 18. Yeah, because I remember...
Zach Johnson birdied 18 also. He had just bogeyed 17.
So here's a fun fact for you. I actually got to hold the claret jug from when Zach Johnson...
Really?
Yeah, when Zach Johnson won. I went down to Orange Tree the following year for the PGA show, and we were there, and his caddy plays out there a bunch, and he left it in the pro shop, and I got to actually like hold that thing and look at it, see Tiger's name on there, Daly's name. Like it's very small, but it was I'm never gonna touch a green jacket. I'm never gonna touch a U.S. Open trophy, but I can sit here and say I had the claret jug in my hands, which I think is a pretty humble, cool brag to have. So fun fact about Zach Johnson winning that.
I looked I looked on there, and like a random name that was up kind of toward the top of the leaderboard early on was like Retief Goosen. And it led me to this question I just thought of. I always feel like every Open, there's always like one old guy. And by old guy, I mean, usually like Tiger's kind of getting to that age where he could be classified in that, but where it's like a guy you don't expect, like Tom Watson beating Greg Norman did it a lot, where like they're over 50 and they're actually competitive in this event. Now, are they going to win? Probably not, but they're somehow able to be competitive in this major championship. So like, I'm going to throw you on the spot, like one old guy you think that could actually maybe do something this week and surprise people and maybe generate or garner a later tee time on Sunday.
I hate to say it. You know my stance, but why not lefty?
He sucks right now.
I know he's playing bad golf and struggling, but like that's kind of a guy that like I said, like who would ever expected like Tom Watson to have a chance at back?
I mean, I of all people, it makes sense. There's not a lot of old guys. I'm like looking at this like, oh yeah, you're a good one.
Yeah, but if that's a guy like he struggled all year. Obviously, all the drama with Live Golf. They're not talking a lot about live from the British or live from the Open at all. So that honestly, to be honest, out of all the events this year, that would be one that would not surprise me this week. But I also wouldn't be surprised if he missed a cut as well, because we've seen him try to putt and he's like, that's the biggest thing. That's the reason I don't think it'll happen, because of how bad he's been putting this year.
Yeah, and I would say like obviously these guys are probably not gonna, but I'm gonna go with Ernie Els, the Big Easy.
Okay, that would be. I would love to see Ernie Els up there.
Like, is there any reasoning behind it? Not really, but he's an Open champion.
Yeah, I mean, you've said it though. Like it's just it's very random how it kind of happens.
Zach Johnson could be somewhat competitive. I mean, obviously you have him and Henrik Stenson, the two Ryder Cup captains, playing this week. I think Henrik would do much better than him. But wait, let me backtrack. Padraig Harrington. That's who I would. Okay. Like I think both of us would agree. Like that guy probably would be the most competitive, like old guy in this.
I could see that happening as well. Padraig just won the
U.S. Senior Open.
Yeah.
So he's trending. So we're both going to jump on that. But is it time to do our DraftKings selections, and then we'll obviously get into a few other items in our picks. But
let's roll into it.
So just to set the stage for everyone, last time we did this for the U.S. Open, We did a snake draft, so we just made sure neither of us were picking each other's player in DraftKings, and then obviously make sure we're under the 50,000 salary limit. You get 6 players you can pick. I had one last time, so the bet we had was the winner gets to pick the outfit for the loser in a golf round.
Yep.
So I think if you win this one, you get to pick my outfit. We'll go play one time. We'll get some content out of it. However, I think if I win, like, I don't want to make you do that twice. I don't think that's as fun.
Yeah,
so
no.
I kind of thought, what would be something good to do? And I was like, either you could do this both at the same time or separate times. But I almost was like, maybe you caddy for me one round.
Oh, damn.
Like,
I thought you were going to come up with something a little bit more
Oh,
fun.
I thought that was pretty good, but okay. I mean, if you can think of something like you.
I was thinking like play with like hickory sticks or something.
Well, that would just be fun to do anyways.
Okay.
Like I would do that. Like that's, I think, fun. Like, but you can't play. You're just caddying. You literally come on like a random round with my buddies and you're carrying my bag, which would be miserable.
I mean, I'm willing to make a bet. I'm confident in my picks recently.
Okay.
So
I'm just saying. I mean, if we think of something else differently throughout this recording, we'll change it. That was something that came to mind because I'm not just going to change your outfit twice. I feel like that's not.
Yeah, no, that's not as fun. So yeah, if you get your second win, you got a caddy for that person.
Okay, perfect.
That'll be like we'll have like a tier list of like when we do these major championships of like things you got to do.
Yeah, and maybe we'll, if people, any of our listeners want to send in stuff, we can even start putting just random bets. If I think Phil Mickelson's going to make a cut in one of these events, I don't know, just hypothetically speaking, we can do those things. So, but you had the first pick this week. I had the first pick last time. So why don't you lead us off with who you chose and most importantly, why?
All right. So number 1 overall pick is my favorite from last week in the Scottish Open. And I said, if he didn't get it done last week, he was going to get it done this week. And I'm going with Jordan Spieth. Jordan's playing decent golf right now. He literally just had like 2 bad swings last weekend at the Scottish Open, or he would have been right there competing with Schauffele for that championship. So I'm riding with my boy Spieth this week. So he plays link style golf good. He's shown up in big moments, and like we've kind of talked about with our list of Seve, Jack, Daly, Tiger, like Spieth could easily add himself to that list of legends of the game, essentially.
Yeah, and I think it's a course where like there's almost an intense amount of strategy and thought process that goes into it. So I think it's a phenomenal pick because like he almost does it too much to a fault. Mm-hmm. But at a place like this, it's probably a big benefit. And when you talk about guys who there's a high standard of players who have won here, he obviously fits the bill. Second place in 2015. So there's some good juju. And he's a premier iron player. Yeah. Which, so I totally agree. I mean, I was like, when you took him, I was like, well, shit, that was my guy.
Well, for me too, like selfishly, I like ever since, Tiger's gone through his injuries, Jordan Spieth's been my favorite player on tour. Like admittedly so, like he's been my favorite guy for a long time. And a dream scenario could you imagine if I get like Jordan Spieth and Tiger Woods in a final group on Sunday at the Open?
That would be phenomenal.
I wouldn't know what to do with myself.
I know.
I would be like, that would be like, not to like, that would be the best thing to kind of happen to golf ever, I think.
We'd have to somehow throw like JT and Rory in the group right in front of them.
That would,
which could happen.
That now we're just getting greedy.
Yeah, okay, of course.
All right, who you got for your first
pick?
So
my 2 picks. So I obviously got back-to-back picks. I took the U.S. Open, reigning U.S. Open champion, Matt Fitzpatrick. He has had one start since he won the U.S. Open. That was a T6 at the Scottish Open.
Pretty good.
He's been playing pretty good golf, if you ask me. In his last 6 events, he's got 5 top 10s.
Is that good?
Yeah, pretty good. A guy who hits the ball a mile. We talk about these hot players in the world. Xander, you can't forget about Fitzpatrick, who's probably quietly having like one of the best seasons. Yeah. Same with so I took him. He was 9,700. And just so everyone's aware, Jordan Spieth with 10,000. And then I took the Scottish Open champion, Xander Schauffele. He's won his last 2 times.
How could you not?
I thought those 2 picks were pretty easy ones to make between Xander and Fitz. So that's where I was going with the guys, the hot hands, who obviously are coming in with some really good form.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing too is just picking guys that make the cut. Like I think last time you had 4 of your 6 guys make the cut, and I only had 2. So like once you see that happen, it's like
it's hard to win when you have guys who don't make the cut.
Right, exactly. So I like both those picks. I was looking at both those guys, but I had a feeling that would be as soon as I took Spieth, you were going to take. I mean, those were kind of no-brainer picks in my opinion. So. Mm-hmm. So my next 2 picks, I wanted to make sure I get Tiger Woods on that same team as well. So I took him at 7,500, and then the guy that had a really, 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 really strong Sunday at the Scottish Open, Patrick Cantley, $9,400. So I always look for those guys that, finished really strong in prior weeks. And I think he had like 66 at the Scottish Open on Sunday to put himself in good position there. So riding with the hot hand in Cantley, and obviously just magical Tiger Woods. That's why I went with him. And I didn't want you to have him, so I don't think you would have picked him.
I was not going to take him, so I was happy that you took him second overall. You could have had him in the 6th pick.
Oh, well, see.
I might have ended up taking him if he was still available then, because I was reaching on some of my guys.
Right.
But where I just wanted to say one thing on Cantley. He's never performed well in majors, but man, do I like him for some reason this week.
A lot of people too. Do you like Cantley as a golfer?
He's boring, but he's a good player. Like when I go and play golf, and when I found I play well is when I feel like I'm in the tempo of how Cantley plays, and I try to not replicate exactly what he's doing, but I almost I think a lot of people try to do some sort of copying of a professional player, and they do certain things that work. Like when I've had the most success for me, I'm watching Cantley, and I'm like, oh, maybe I should try certain things like that, and it's a lot had to do with just his tempo. So. Do I find him boring to watch? Yes, but do I find it very successful? Yes. Yeah,
see, a lot of people say like he's really boring, but I kind of look at him as Mr. Cool. Nothing really phases him. He's always wearing the all black or white and black. To me, it's he's just the cool guy out there. I know a lot of people probably won't look at it, but that's how I look at the dude. So big fan of Cantley.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, who you got for your next two?
So my 2 picks. These were the 3 guys after Spieth was taken, these were the 3 guys I really wanted from a value on DraftKings. I went with Cam Smith, $9,500. And his name will be mentioned later in this podcast, just as a heads up.
Okay.
A guy, he missed the cut of the U.S. Open. I picked him to win the U.S. Open. He doesn't hit the ball straight. That's one thing. Nope. But at this place, obviously you're going to be coming in with better angles and everything. So you want to be able to make sure you position yourself well. But I think he's just such a dog where, he finds a way to get the ball in the hole. He's scrappy. He can figure it out.
One of the best putters on tour, too.
One of the best putters. He's a really good ball striker, too. And so I don't think there's a premier aspect in, driving the ball straight this week as maybe other ones. And so, I'm fully on board with, I think Cam Smith has a good week. He finished 10th place last week at Scottish. So, again, another guy in good form. And then I went to the other Smith in the field. There might be 3, but the other one. He's a British guy. Not a lot of people know he is. Ranked 115th in the world. In this field, he's 40th in true strokes gained. Amongst everyone in the field, he's 40th. So this is a guy at $7,200. I think you go get him if you have a chance on DraftKings to get value. But Jordan Smith, he spends a majority of his time on the European Tour, but he's been playing quietly some good golf. The other guy on the European Tour has been playing really well is Ryan Fox. Yeah, this guy's basically the guy behind him who's been playing really good. I mean, he's got basically 8 straight finishes in the top 25. Again, it's the European Tour. He finished 24th last week in the Scottish Open. So... is he going to win? Probably not. But, this is a guy who's been playing good golf, and I assume that he's going to just continue to keep it up at a place where, he's going to be a lot more accustomed to than maybe some of the other players. So
yeah, well, and, again, that's – obviously you're not trying to pick 6 guys to win. You're picking 6 guys to make the cut.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's I really didn't know that about his strokes gained. So
data guy over here.
Yeah, data guy. That's where I might be screwing myself over here, so – all right, am I up?
Yeah. Now you're. Yeah, that took the 2 Smiths.
Took 2 Smith boys. All right, my 4th and 5th pick. Kind of questioning this pick now just because of who he's paired up with on Thursday and Friday. But I went with Max Homa, big Max Homa guy. But he got paired up with Tiger, which is kind of like a dream scenario for him. So I'm hoping he doesn't get too giddy about it. But I really if Tiger's playing well, then Max will play well, and hopefully if Max is playing well, then Tiger will play well. So they kind of feed off each other a little bit. So I'm hoping for that there. He was 7,900. How do you not like Max Homa? So I'm going with Max there. He's got to win this year, so why not? And then my 5th pick, Joaquin Niemann. Joaquin just seems to be just stellar year all year long. I think you had him as a pick. You had him as your pick last week.
Yeah, he hits the ball low. He's a good player when it's windy.
Yeah, so you're playing link style. I think the weather's going to be just fine this week, but if something changes for whatever reason, this is a pure ball striker and he can do some damage. So this is a guy too that I think it's a matter of time before he gets his first major. So I think that's a pretty safe pick.
Yeah, and the one thing I would say and more on Homa, I know he's with Tiger, and so you talked about hey, that's concerning with the whole could he. How's he going to react to that?
Yeah.
I do think St. Andrews, there's no crowds that can get on the middle of the golf course. They're all on the outside. So if there was ever a place to want to play with Tiger, like you're going to deal with massive galleries anywhere, but probably the smallest large galleries will be at St. Andrews. So It might be a good place. Plus, like, I think Max Homa is like significantly disrespected, not from a standpoint of like people saying he's bad, just I don't think he gets enough respect of how good he is. There's always usually good odds you can get on DraftKings or bets on him. He's kind of like a top 20 machine. But because of kind of his whole like Twitter sphere, everyone's like, oh, you're kind of famous because of like that, and you're not actually a good golfer, and there's that persona. It's like, no, he's a fucking good player.
He's a good player.
And so I almost think he's gonna relish this opportunity. And I really like the pick. I picked him and then realized, wait, I'm gonna go over cap, so I had to read back out.
Drop the man.
Yep. So all right. Well, I only saying is I definitely ride those picks. All right, my last two guys. Kind of went on a limb with number 151 in the world, Thomas Dietrich.
Yeah, this one threw me off. I was like, what the?
I could give you like 16 different reasons on why I chose him. He finished 10th last week in the Scottish Open. I feel like I've seen his name a lot of times in some of these like larger events, but I'm looking and he missed the cut at the U.S. Open last year. He missed the cut at the Open Championship last year. He missed the cut at the PGA last year. So, like, I'm talking out of my ass is my point.
All right, so I like my chances with that one
but he's 90th in strokes gained in the field. Like, ooh. I don't know. I think it was just kind of like I know that name. He's a cheap guy because he's at 6,600. That's all I could really spend knowing where I was at. And he's got some sort of equity of playing well in some of these events. So that was my thought. It's kind of a stretch, but again, that's when you're taking a lower guy. You're hoping that he can make the cut. But then my other one, I'm pretty bullish on this guy. He was second place after the first round of the Scottish Open, ends up finishing T30 at it. Gary Woodland. He's rounding into form. A guy who's won the U.S. Open. He talked about how he was kind of injured for a while, and he's finally like, I'm back to being healthy. Again, is he a guy who's going to light the world on fire? No, but I think he's someone who knows how to deal with the nerves of playing in these really, really large events. He was 7,100 on DraftKings, and I like the form he's in, so I'm going to go with him.
Yeah, and he's one of the final groups at the U.S. Open too, so it's not like he's playing bad golf.
Top 10 at the U.S. Open.
Yeah, so it's not like he's playing bad golf by any means right now. So I saw that, and I actually really like that pick, especially for the value you got him at. And the crazy thing too is like he's been playing decent golf, and even in the final round, like you haven't heard like they don't talk about him at all.
No, and he's
a major champion.
Yeah, like and I don't know why he's such a like. He's going to end up with a career of like one of those one-hit wonder major champions. We all know that. But
yeah, but at the same time too, like that one major, like he was electric in that major. Like he was fist pumping, he was celebrating. Like I don't know, I don't think Gary Woodland gets enough credit.
Yeah, so that's who I'm going with. I like where he's at. I want to say he's going to start trending here. I'll try to give you his numbers on where he is on the strokes gained real quick. He's 56th, one behind your next pick actually.
Oh, one behind. So that's what I like to hear.
Yeah.
All right, so my last and final pick. How could we ever do this podcast without picking Spieth the Gala, the man who fucks? So he's been around all year. That's our boy. I'm gonna try to get that guy on as a guest of this podcast at some point, maybe throughout the rest of the year. So I think that would be absolutely electric. We're big Spieth guys, and I'm hoping he has a good showing at this major championship. Hasn't really had a good showing at recent majors, but he's gonna change that narrative real quick.
One of these times you're gonna break through. So. Can't wait to see you caddy for me. And I might have to do it with like a round with the boys or something. It's where you're just stuck.
Oh my God.
But I'm speaking on my ass. Hold on, I gotta win. So
yeah.
Then obviously we're gonna pick a favorite, a sleeper to win, Mortal Lock top 20, a guy to miss the cut, and then just like our favorite prop bet of the week.
Yep.
I'll start with the favorite to win.
Okay.
I mentioned him in the DraftKings. I'm picking Cam Smith to win. I'm going back to back major. Like I picked him to win the U.S. Open. He missed the cut. Sick. I'm taking him to win this week. I don't know. It's a feeling. He won the Players, and it's hard to win two big, like really, really big events in the year. Not that the Players is a major, but pretty close to it. So I really like where he's at. I think I'm getting him also at a good value. I actually bet him earlier where he was like plus 3,000. He's now plus 2,500.
Okay.
But I just think like there's a lot of guys playing really good golf, and he's kind of more of the forgotten guy right now who is trending back after he had a little bit of a hiccup. So.
All right, that's fair. So the way I did my picks this week is I wanted to pick guys that were outside of my DraftKings guys.
Yep.
Spread the money a little bit.
Yeah, so you can't take Spieth.
So Spieth is still my favorite. Like I'm not gonna.
When he wins, you called it.
Correct. But my other favorite, I guess you could say, I got two, is and he's the favorite going into this week. And how do you not like Rory Mcilroy with the way he's been playing golf this year?
900
plus 1,000. So you're still getting decent value for the favorite in the field.
When he shoots 61 on Thursday, you can get him for like plus 100. So you'll get great odds.
Yeah, exactly. So I think Rory's kind of fought the bug of playing really bad the first 2 rounds and then somehow scraping it through the cut and then going low on Thursday and Friday or on Saturday and Sunday, excuse me. But I think he has a chance to finish in the top 20 of all the majors this year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
I'll have to double check that.
There's 2 players who have had him and Will Zalatoris are the
Bingo.
2 guys. They both
top 10.
So was the big thing. So also random thing. Just thought about it, and I don't want to forget this.
Mm-hmm.
But he's not the number 1 player in the world, Scotty Scheffler is, but he's basically coming in as the favorite, which is what led me to this. How many times, before we give our sleepers, how many different players do you think in the world, since the world rankings were established, won a major when they were ranked number 1 in the world?
So I saw the same
Okay,
stat.
so you saw it. So there's only been 6 players, but it's been done 17 times.
Yep, 11 of those times was done by Tiger Woods.
And then I didn't see what the other 3 names were, but it was DJ and Scotty Scheffler were the 2 of them.
That was a crazy stat.
I saw that.
Like it's really hard to win as the number 1 player in the world. So.
And I think when you're the perennial favorite, it's very difficult too, and everyone has this expectation. It's like it's fucking hard to win. There's 156 guys this week or something.
What would you rather come in as, the world number 1 or the perennial favorite?
If I were coming in between, basically we're saying Scotty Scheffler or Rory McIlroy, I'd probably rather come under the radar more like Scotty Scheffler.
Okay.
He's still, for a guy who's had a phenomenal years, like,
he didn't
disrespect.
I mean, watching him at the Scottish Open last week, though, you'd understand why.
Yeah, exactly. But he's a guy who, which surprised me, I think, like with his
he could
game in Texas, he'd understand how to play in the wind, play on the ground.
It wasn't that his putter was. He just could not figure out the greens last week at the Renaissance.
So I think he'll be fine. But
I'm not saying.
So sleeper, who you got sleeper?
I'm taking the guy that finished 2nd place last week. I'm taking Kurt Kitayama, plus 12,000. So I mean, this was a guy that he had it like in his grasp essentially last week at the Scottish Open. So I get he's missed a lot of cuts this year, but that was me just kind of taking a flyer. It's a sleeper. That's what you're supposed to do with a sleeper.
I just think there's I would have taken DeChambeau at plus 13,000 over him.
I mean, that's fair.
Yeah, or Billy Horschel was like pretty bad odds too, or long odds.
I know. I just didn't trust Billy again this week.
Yeah,
after he smashed his finger the last time. So,
all right,
I took a real flyer. That's what I was going with that one.
My sleeper has a relationship with the guy who I picked for the favorite. They won the team event one time. Mark Leishman.
Oh, okay. Leash Daddy.
He lost in the playoff to Zach Johnson. He was him and Louis did. He's plus 10,000. He has not been great in the last couple of years since when he was really playing really good golf. But again, there's something about different courses that bring it out in players, and I have a feeling that Leash might be relatively competitive this week, and just takes 1 week to get the hot putter going and the creativity. But I like the Aussies this week. So
okay.
So
riding the Aussie train hard.
There's a few things I want to talk about. And I'll wait because you might bring him up later. So I don't want to steal your thunder on maybe who you'll pick.
Okay.
But Mortal Lock top 20.
All right. So real quick before another like kind of sleeper pick that he's not getting a lot of talk about. I'm actually trying to look up his odds right now. Shane Lowry.
That was one guy who I wanted. He's actually like plus 2,000.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's like one of the 8 favorites or something.
Oh, yeah, he is up there, plus 2,000. So not really a sleeper pick, but no one's talking about him. So that's why I kind of... Yeah, he's got better odds than Justin Thomas does.
Which is mind-boggling. But, like, one, it's a British Open. He's a British Open champion. I would love Shane Lowry.
I love Shane Lowry.
I would absolutely... That's the one guy who, like, of my, like 4 guys I really ride this week. Cam Smith. I don't ride Xander Schauffele, but, like, if he wins, I'll just be cool because I picked him in DraftKings. But Matt Fitzpatrick... Cam Smith, Shane Lowry are like the guys, and I was gonna bring him up later as well to talk, but there was one other guy we'll talk about.
I felt like the we had a little thing going on.
I was going
Shane
back
Lowry.
and forth with the guy who I chose for top 20 and Shane Lowry.
Okay.
So I'll go with my top 20. I have Matt Fitzpatrick, Mortalock. I told you I was looking at odds. I was like, he's plus 100 at top 20. Like,
seems like easy money.
I was like, throw money on that. Yeah. Like, so I bet I'm gonna speak this into existence. Knock on wood. I'm like, I think that like he's been playing great golf.
Yeah.
Again.
How could you not?
So
it's gonna end up in one of those things where he's like T24.
Yeah. or like he'll get like T19 and you'll win like $2 on your bet because of the dead heat stupid rule.
All right. So the sports book that I did my Mortal Lock top 20 in from didn't have top 20. They had top 30. So bear with me here a little bit. I know it's a little bit of a change, but whatever. Christian Bezuidenhout.
I like that pick.
So, again, if you're a casual golf fan, that's not a name you're really going to pay attention to. But over the last, I want to say 4 years, I would do these major squares for work when I was working at the golf course. I would do these squares, and after the Thursday and Friday round, you grab the top 20 names and you do like a squares, almost like you're doing Super Bowl squares. His name, I swear to God, the longest last name you could possibly have was always on this board, whether it was in the top 20 or top from 11 to 20 or from 1 to 10. He was always up there. So I like to think I'm giving myself a pretty good chance with him finishing the top 30 this week, just based on prior experiences.
I like it. I definitely like it.
Plus 290 too, so.
Yeah, I mean, and he's been playing. I mean, second place at the John Deere Classic.
Yeah.
I don't know what he got last week. I'll try to look it up real quick.
I don't even know if he really played last week.
He did.
Oh, okay. But yeah.
He got T16. Like,
yeah,
I was going to say, it was a good pick. So, all right, guide. So, again, we want to pick a guy to miss the cut who we actually think is, like, a relevant player. Like, I'm not going to go choose John Daly to miss the cut. That's too far.
Too easy, yeah. No, I did the same thought process.
I wrote this name down before we recorded this podcast.
I have a feeling we were going to say the same person.
Who? You go ahead.
All right, you ready?
Yeah.
Does it start with the V?
No.
Oh, I was going Victor Hovland.
That's a great pick.
That is.
I wanted to bring him up on our podcast because, where has he been?
Oh, I got a few things after watching the Scottish Open last week.
Okay, you go ahead on him, and then I might try to jump on board with that.
Okay, so Victor Hovland, again, former U.S. Amateur winner, but Victor Hovland has some demons going on right now. Like, I think there should be a prop bet out there every time he tees off. Like, every round, there should be a prop bet of shanked shots. Should be set at a half a shanked shot. Dude, he shanked one at the Scottish Open in the first round. I
saw that.
And it ended up in this brush area. He had to move some cords out of the way, and then he went to go hit it, and his club went right underneath it. And I was just like, what? Like, but he's known for, like, him and John Rahm are like the two guys on tour that like are known for shaking shots like consistently. And John Rahm will always recover for it. Victor Hovland does not. Like, I think Hovland had a point where he did it like twice in a row one time. And that's like, after watching him in the Scottish Open, you could tell like he could not figure it out at all. So I don't think he stands a chance this week at St. Andrews.
Well, I think like he's a guy who's a really good probably golfer when it's like wet and slow and it's an American golf course, which is funny because he's from Norway.
But is he though?
But like when he talks about like creativity, like we talked about Jordan Spieth and stuff like that, like some of these players, like he doesn't come to mind. His strokes gained around the green is abysmal. I'll tell you what his stat is shortly on that. But like it's ugly to watch him chip.
Yeah.
Compared to like Matt Fitzpatrick crosshand, which by the way I tried, horrible at it. I don't know how you do that. Like it's impressive how he's able to do that. But yeah, I think that's a phenomenal pick because we wanted to take favorites, and that's a guy who definitely
he's a young guy that a lot of people like. So
definitely favors that. Wow, Phil Mickelson #1 around the green, strokes gained. That's surprising. All right, I'm doing.
Wait, who is that?
Phil Mickelson's #1 around the green. It's probably because he misses the green all the time.
Yeah, that's true.
Hovland is 119th out of a qualifying 125 players.
Jesus.
So obviously the field's higher than that, but they don't have enough data on all these other guys. So that's pretty bad.
It makes me even feel better about my pick.
So like I don't see this winning, and I was really struggling looking at like the list. And DraftKings, you can't bet someone to make the cut. You can just bet guys to miss. Or excuse me, you can't bet guys to miss the cut. You can just bet them to make.
Which I hate. Like I don't know why you can't do that.
And I didn't want to take a guy who was like minus 165 to make the cut, which means like internally like they're not super long odds to miss the cut. Like a Chris Kirk or a Corey Connors. Like I wanted to kind of go a little out there. So I took Louis Oosthuizen, and I took him to miss the cut of the U.S. Open. It hit. I took him not knowing that I forgot he was in the runner-up in the playoff in 2015. So obviously he's got some good juju at this golf course. But I just think he doesn't give a fuck right now.
No, basically. Louis kind of just he got the bag from Live Golf, and he's kind of just coasting. Yeah. And he even kind of said that. He's like, dude, because I don't want to play as much golf as I used to.
I'm kind of farm. I got cash.
Yeah, like he's just he's just out there.
Is it going to be right? Probably not. But like that's who I was going with, and I guess I'm just I can't think of anyone else to miss.
Watch him have his like patented like second place finish.
Yeah, like the one guy I actually considered saying this, and he's got such a great major championship record. I just don't think he's going to be a good player ever at the Open. I don't think his game suits it, at least not right now. I wanted to go Will Zalatoris, but I'm like, he's got like 9 top 10s in majors or something like outrageous. He's got an unbelievable
dangerous pick.
And so I was like, that's like, he's not going to miss the cut. He just missed the cut last week. For him to miss back-to-back cuts, like that's an anomaly as well.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's him, but like, I did want to get your opinion. Like, what do you expect out of Will Zalatoris this week? I mean, he's a guy who obviously lost in the playoff of the PGA, runner-up at the U.S. Open. Like, what do you expect out of him?
Dude, I honestly do expect him to be on that leaderboard again come the weekend. Like, I know his stats, like from 48 feet aren't good with a putter, and we've seen the video of his short putts, but like we talked about with Lexi Thompson a couple weeks ago, like, yeah, he's kind of a bit yippy with the putter, but
it always goes in.
It gets in. It goes in, like, most of the time, besides a few, like, snarly instances. But, like, outside at 10 feet, the guy can putt for whatever reason. So, I truly do. Like, Will's been playing great golf all year. Like, that's not a guy I'm counting out by any means.
Yeah, so his major championship record, he's played in 10 tournaments. He's made the cut 7 times. He withdrew once, so that doesn't even count. And he missed the cut twice. He has he's 6 top 10s out of 9 events. Sorry. I don't know how I got 7 out of 10. The one time he played in the Open, he withdrew. I don't know if he actually even played any holes or if he withdrew.
Didn't he have like a wrist injury or something?
It was something
like
with his back. He might have been on like the second hole. He took a swing out of Heather, and it just. So I don't even count. He's basically never played in the Open before.
Yeah.
Because for the most part, so I don't know. He's a guy who I think he'll take a while to understand what links golf is all about, but. Again, I talked about being able to hit the ball where you want it and having these angles. Like, he's a guy who is in full command of his golf ball more than majority of the guys out there. It's just when the ground becomes more of a factor, I think it negates some of his skill set.
Yeah.
And so I think at a place that is allegedly as firm as it's been, or it looks like, that's what I expect.
Yeah.
So we just also did a favorite prop bet. I don't know if you have one yet.
I do.
Okay, so why don't you give us that?
My favorite prop bet of the week is I almost read off yours. It was like plus 120. You pick the region from where the winner is going to come with, and I'm going with the USA.
Okay.
I think a USA player gets it done, gets the claret jug.
It's a fun bet.
So plus 120, I feel like it's,
there'll be a guy there at least come Sunday.
Hopefully, so yeah. I mean, but at the same time too, like my favorite I picked was Rory Mcilroy, and he's not American, so
you're just hedging.
Hedging bets, baby. So I like that one. It seemed like that was a pretty fun one.
Got it. I took one that is minus 135. The winner will par the 72nd hole.
Ooh, that's a fun one.
I just like it's not a hard hole.
Most of these guys are going to drive the green.
I mean, if they birdie to win on, like, cool, we get to see an exciting birdie. I don't think a guy's going to boat like. If he has a 2-shot lead, I just find it hard for him to, like, bogey that hole.
Like, going back to kind of, like, the Mullinax's win last week at Barbasol, like, we haven't seen, like, a birdie putt or something like that to really win.
Yeah.
Like, a long birdie putt to, like, it's usually, like, Zalatoris kind of messed up in the playoff a little bit with JT. Like, I need somebody, like, tied.
Well, JT went 2 under in 3 holes.
He did.
Yeah.
Like,
Zalatoris went 1 under.
But I need, like, guys tied, like, coming in the 72nd hole, and someone makes, like, a 25-footer, like, a huge fist pump or something like that.
So, no, I agree. But I think it's a boring bet. It's something like...
I feel like that's, like, honestly, like, minus 130. Like, I feel like that would have, like, plus odds just because of how short the 18th hole is.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it was, like, par or anything else. It might have been, like, par, birdie, bogey. I don't remember exactly. But one other name I feel like... We haven't talked about, I guess, 2 guys. One, we haven't talked about any live guys. DJ Brooks, whatever. I don't think we need to talk about them that much.
No, I mean it's like
what do we expect? I don't know.
They haven't even been playing that well on the live tour. So like I don't have a lot of expectations for those guys coming into this week.
I mean, I think DJ will be competitive.
DJ was DJ and Brooks were both somewhat competitive at the they're good players. Like there's no knocking them like being like bad players or anything just because they're playing live. Like they're still exceptional talent. They're just not playing the top of their game like we've seen in years past. So I don't.
What do you expect from Justin Thomas though? We've gone almost the whole podcast without really talking about Scotty Scheffler and Justin Thomas, who've won the other two major champions outside.
I think Justin's still trying to figure out links golf a little bit. Like it's not.
He's not creative like Spieth.
Like Spieth's been.
Well, he is in a different way, but
but like, and JT, like, I would say like if out of all of JT's faults, like some of his biggest things, like he doesn't make a lot of longer putts. Like he gives himself a lot of good birdie looks, but you don't see him drain like a lot of like birdie putts that like I've seen. Like if he gets going, like he could go out like I think what was that, the Sony Open where he shot 59. He was making everything he looked at. Like that's not the same Justin Thomas you get week in and week out. So I think if he can do that, then you're looking at a guy that could easily go out and win this thing.
Yeah, for me, I struggle. I think he's really good at playing in the wind. I think like really firm and fast. Open stuff. I don't know. I don't know if he's going to be there yet. But he was playing practice round with Tiger, so you never know what kind of wisdom he got. What about Sam Burns?
That was a name I kept looking at the leaderboard. Like, did I want to throw him in any of my DraftKings? Did I want to throw him in any of like my picks for this week? And that could be a sneaky guy for anybody out there. Like he's like I know you've been on him.
Yeah, I've been on him
a
since the beginning of the year, basically.
So, would not surprise me.
He hasn't had one of these times he's got to be very competitive in major, and he's like not that he's not. He's like T30, T20 typically, but I don't think it's gonna be this week.
Yeah,
I just
speaking of, I guess like in the playoff with Scheffler, like that was the last guy to make a long putt and he didn't celebrate. Yeah. So that's why for me it wasn't very
That's why you hate
it wasn't very memorable. So
I do have high expectations for Scheffler.
I don't. After watching him last week, like I don't know if like it's just the link style type greens. Like I feel like the St. Andrews greens are even trickier than the Renaissance Club. Like to me, he just like it was speed and line. Like he was misreading it, and like he rolled a lot of balls by the hole. He even came up like miles short. And to me, I was just like, once you start doing that, it becomes very mental. So, like, that's why I think he might even, like, it might just be, like, on his own. Like, I think he's going to hit the ball just fine. But, like, do I expect to make the cut? Yeah, I do. But I don't know if Scheffler's really going to compete this week. Okay. It's foolish to say right after watching him this year. But, like I said, I watched a good majority. He was one of the featured group coverage, and I watched all of those. So, that's the reason
I like him. I find it really hard to see players like Thomas and Scheffler and really these top 20 guys in the world who've been playing well. I find it very hard to see them miss a cut back-to-back weeks. And so you're saying, look, he's not going to miss a cut. Like the level of play that he's at, I almost think of like, okay, the variance was so off that it's going to come back to the mean and the average, and I think that he's going to be back there. So, and then the last guy who's a perennial favorite, I don't even know if we've even said his name, was Jon Rahm.
Yeah, well, Rahm hasn't really, like...
He's had a bad year.
He's been competitive to some degree, but, like, he's had one round and you're like, what the hell was that, dude? Like, he's put together, like, 3 good rounds in, like, these majors this year, too, but then there's been that one round that you're like, what the hell happened? Like, this final round at the U.S. Open, like, he did not play very well. Mm-hmm. And to me, it's just, like... We haven't seen the consistent Jon Rahm that, like, and I get he won the Mexico Open earlier this year.
That was not a big event.
Was not a
weak field.
Wasn't a strong field at all. So for me, like, I don't know. I think he's going to be just middle of the pack, like kind of flirting. You'll see him on the leaderboard from time to time, but I don't know if it's a guy that he'll get a lot of light shine on him this weekend unless he's flirting with the lead. Yeah,
I'm with you. And by no means am I saying he's having a bad year, but like to his expectations, it's been down. I just think that's what it is. And last year he only won once last year when it was the U.S. Open.
Right.
But he was very competitive, and the level of play and his, when you talk about like his strokes gained, it was so high, which is so hard to keep that going for an extended period of time. And it's just come down. And like, was he able to get a win this year? Yes, but they're just that level of consistency has not been there, and the win was a bad event. If we want to call spade a spade.
Yeah, no, I don't think a lot of people watch that one. So. Obviously a lot of names to look out after, a lot of storylines. But it should just be a good week. I think the weather out there is going to be really it's going to be good weather. I don't think we're going to get like any rain or anything too crazy out there. But it's just like, I guess my question is for you is like, I think the first tee time's at 1:35 in the morning. Do you stay up or do you get up early, or like what's your game plan for how you watch the Open?
You beat me to the question. Yeah, it's like, so I think this is like, I'm not someone who I think is going to like set my alarm really early to watch it. Like, I'm not going to be like, all right, let's get up at 3 a.m. But I'm someone who the moment, and I don't sleep in, the moment I wake up, I will, if it's 5, I'll go down and start watching the Open. I love morning golf, coffee golf. It's great. Thursday, Friday, I'm working still, but I'll have it on the side, which will be great to watch. And then like Sunday, Saturday, Sunday, I fully plan on whenever I'm up, I'm turning it on and I'm sitting in front of the couch. That's my thing. But I guess are you going to get up really early? I think Tiger tees off around like 5 a.m. on Friday. Like, is that worth getting up for?
I would get up for that. Like I think he tees off 9:36, I believe, and we get in the tee times in just a second. I think he's like 9:36 on
9:59 on
or 9:59 on Thursday. So like, I want to try to be like, it's like he's even said, it's kind of be my last competitive round at St. Andrews or tournament. So part of me is like, I don't want to miss any of those shots. Because like, Tiger's the reason I love golf as much as I do now. But for me, I've been trying to I tried to go to bed last night at 9:30, and try to get up at like 5 this morning. I was going to try to maybe go work out. That didn't happen. I stayed up way late watching The Dark Knight like an idiot.
Good movie.
Great movie. But I'm gonna try to do it again tonight. Potentially I won't. That actually won't happen tonight because I'll be editing the podcast. But I'm a type of person that will try to get up and watch it. Like if I'm tired for the next couple of days, like so be it. Like the Open, especially at St. Andrews, is worth it to me. Yeah. So it's fun to do. I won't get up at like 2 or 3 to do it just because like same time a lot of the big names aren't going. Like they strategically do it that way, but I'll definitely make sure I watch a good chunk of this.
Yeah, I mean, the earliest tee time on Thursday, that would be like a notable one I wrote down was Cam Smith, Brooks Koepka, and Seamus Power at 3:03, but then the next one's 4:58, Rory Morikawa, Xander. So my thing is, again, I with you, I think if once I wake up, whenever that is, I will be ready to watch it. Yeah. And it will be early because I do that. I like wake up every day at like 5:30 just randomly. Yeah. So I guess last question before we kind of leave here, for one of the most exciting weeks in golf and Glory's last shot. What do you predict the winning score to be, and what's going to be the headline at the end of the week? And it doesn't have to include the winner, the name of the winner by any means, but like what's going to be the story and what's going to be the winning score?
Ooh, all right. So like if I was doing like a newspaper headline, it's kind of going to go back to what we talked about a little bit with like the legends of golf. For a long time, I think we saw guys come, JT, Rory, Jordan Spieth, Scotty Scheffler, like all these new names, and then you have Tiger Woods. Like, I hope we get that one major one time where a lot of those big names are competing on Sunday. So as much as I like my storyline would be is like the Golden Championship, like a lot of big names atop that leaderboard. And I think you're going to see I think right around 20 under par is going to be, it's very low scoring every single year at this event. Not at this event, but at St. Andrews. So it's short. A lot of these par 4s are drivable par 4s for these guys nowadays. But I wouldn't even be shocked if it got up to 25 under par. It would not surprise me one bit. But the Golden Championship is what I'm hoping for this week.
I think so. Yeah, which I love. I think that very good. I think the winning score ends up being 18 under. Okay, which is
what it was last time.
270, correct? I think something. It might have been 15.
Okay.
I totally agree. I could see it getting to 2025. But not from a standpoint of like, oh, they're just obliterating the course. I think it's just like if you hit really good shots, you're going to be rewarded. I think where I'm, and I don't know about like the headline, but I think it's going to be like a European champion.
Oh, okay.
The claret jug is back in Europe's hands or something like that.
Like when Shane Lowry won.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be. I mean, it can be Rory, it can be anyone. I think that's going to be kind of the big storyline, along with just like you talked about guys driving the greens and everything. I think this will create more discussion around the ball going too far.
Okay, yeah.
But that's the big thing. I don't think that'll overshadow the success of the whole event. That'll be there. So it's funny you say like it's back in Europe. Like
I wouldn't be like, how cool of a story if you see Justin Rose walk out of there with a claret jug. Like that would be very cool for him. Like in the kind of later stages of his career,
get a second major.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. He made his. I think he made his debut at Carnoustie. When he was an amateur, I believe.
I think so. That sounds.
And he was
correct.
pretty competitive. I think he got like a top 10 in that. But either way, I'm really excited. It's a week again where I have no freaking clue where this is going to go. But you talk about like you want that golden championship, and what that's reminding me of is when Francesco Molinari won at Carnoustie, you had a lot of guys in contention who were big names, and I think you're onto something there. I think this is going to be a one where you're going to get a lot of these really, really good players, not any duds, just mainly studs, creating some really good television coming down the finish.
And like it's due. Like I think it would be perfect. It would be perfect end to Tiger's career at St. Andrews. It would be the perfect for the 150th at St. Andrews. Like I said, golf has a funny way of being romantic, and I think you could really see something special along those lines this week. And I don't think I'm not saying it has to just involve Tiger as well either. Like even just like one of these, like a Justin Rose for example, like him winning, like that'd be romantic to me. Like that's I feel like you have
like when Shane Lowry won.
That it was fun. That was fun. He won it on his home turf. This game's funny, especially the Open too. Like we said, we went through the names: Seve, Jack, Daly, Woods, back-to-back times at St. Andrews. Yeah, like it's just funny like that. The golf gods are out there, and I think we should be in for a real treat this week. I'm so excited. Bummed that it's the last major of the year, but golf is headed in a new direction, and we're gonna see a lot of things get ironed out after this championship, and we'll get ready for the FedEx. I do think the FedEx Cup is an exciting time as well. Yeah,
but at the very least, we're gonna cherish this moment because we won't have it until come April, basically next major. So. Yeah. Enjoy the week. 9 months until our next major.
Yeah, 9 months. So soak that in, and I hope everyone's up cooking eggs, Bloody Marys in the morning. Enjoy the hell out of this thing. So we can't wait to recap it next week. It's going to be a lot of fun for us on that standpoint. So enjoy the week. Enjoy the Open. Hopefully we get the Golden Championship. And if you're out playing golf this weekend, hit them far, hit them straight.